Hello and welcome to the Cricketer's Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Tim Williams. We're here to take a look at the world of cricket with Australia winning the Frank Worrell Trophy in a clean sweep and England taking a 2-1 lead in a thrilling series with India with tempers flaring and the spirit of cricket once again brought into question. Here to talk through it with me, as always, Cricket Australia commentator Max Bryden. Maxie, how are you, mate?
G'day, Timmy. I'm doing well, mate. The cricket's been amazing the last couple of weeks. I've been up and about.
Yeah, right. England-India series, how freaking good's that been?
Yeah, very captivating. It's been a fun little routine at the moment to start my nighttime viewing with that. Then maybe go to bed, then catch the Australia-West Indies stuff when I wake up. But I tell you what, the pink ball test, I really appreciated that little sort of 5 a.m. start. That was good fun. Yeah,
you're speaking as a man with a child. As a man without a child, I woke up to about 10 messages from you on Tuesday morning or whatever it was, just going like, I was waking up expecting to watch a bit of test cricket, pink ball cricket, how good's this going to be? And you just messaged me about Starc and Boland and get social media ready and do all this. So I'm like, oh, God, woke up to have a storm and didn't get the morning session of cricket. But it's good stuff, mate. On today's show, we will, of course, be looking at the Australia versus West Indies series, recapping that one and looking forward once again to the Ashes. Scotty Boland creating a bit of history with a hat-trick. Is there a case to pick him over Nathan Lyon in the Ashes series at different stages? We'll chat about that one. England versus India recapper. England steering away from baseball with success in the third test and a slower run rate. And then we'll check out the Aussies in action with Harry Manenti and the Italians creating a bit of history. But Maxie, let's get into the Australia versus West Indies series recap firstly. The Aussies win by 176 runs in the third test to complete that clean sweep. We were rolled for 225 and 121. There were no half centuries scored in the match, which is unbelievable. Cam Green, he made a pair of 40s, which was encouraging to see him spend a bit of time at the crease. Mitchie Starc, he was the story of the test. His 100th test match, he took 6 for 9 in the second innings, including 3 wickets in the first over. He reached 400 test wickets in the process. It was the fewest balls to a 5-wicket haul in history, taking him just 15 pills. He knocked off Scotty Boland, Stuart Broad and Ernie Toshak, who all did it in 19 balls. Don't look at the screen, Maxie. Do you have any idea which Aussie was in 5th place?
Ooh, good question.
It is an absolute wild card.
I don't know if I do.
Pretty modern, very modern, all-rounder.
I thought the fun trivia part about it for me was finding out that Scott Boland's fifer during that last Ashes series was part of it. No, yeah. I'm not sure who number 5 or who was it?
Shane Watson.
There you go. I wouldn't even tell you what ground he did that. No. I can't remember him taking 5 wickets in Test cricket.
Unreal, hey?
That's amazing.
He was 21 balls to get to his 5-wicket haul. So we rolled the West Indies for 27 runs in 14.3 overs. It was the second lowest ever total behind New Zealand and England back in 1955. The lowest in the last 50 years. Before that was India against Australia, and India were rolled for 36 in Adelaide. Mate, general thoughts on the third test and the series?
Look, third test, it felt like from the outset we were always going to have a game like this. There was so much conjecture leading into it about whether or not we'd actually get a day-night test match because they was installing the lights. It felt like even just in the hours up until the match started. There was a huge call at the toss to leave out Nathan Lyon in favour of Scott Boland. And again, once you saw that, it really just screamed like this pitch might be absolutely diabolical and the conditions might be impossible. And even just the way, particularly the Australians batted in that second innings, you'd really guess whether or not they could see the ball. Poor Alex Carey, he got concussion subbed out after a blow to the helmet. It was the first delivery that he saw. And I say that he saw, I should say that he faced because he did not see that ball. It was really, really hard graft out there for the batters. The bowlers were having a field day. The ball was almost moving too much, I thought, in that first innings. But in the second innings, they got it right. They honed in and they got the job done. The series as a whole, thought it was pretty good. I'd say with the exception of the 4th innings of every match, which was the West Indies capitulating when they had almost chaseable totals. It felt like this test series gave us a lot. It gave us tension. It gave us really good battles. I mean, the West Indians won the first innings of the first test and sort of thought, here we go. You know, it could be on here. It could be Gabba 2.0 from the last time that we faced them up there. But it taught us that we've still got problems at the top order. It taught us, again, a lesson we've known for a while, that our bowlers are bloody amazing. And I think that there's a few green shoots for a few players who have come out with enhanced reputations as well.
That's it, mate. The series will say that it was a pretty comprehensive sweep from the Aussies, but There was game on going into the fourth innings just about every time.
Every time.
Yeah, and by the end of the game, it ended up being pretty comprehensive, but there was a bit of competitiveness in each match, and as I said, for the Aussies, still a lot to learn and a lot to take out of that top order and the problems we have, but we'll get there shortly. You mentioned Nathan Lyon dropped. It was the first time since 2013, when fully fit, that he hasn't been picked. Scotty Boland came in and took 3 for 34 and 3 for 2, including a hat-trick. Scotty Boland now has the best bowling average for active players since 1915, with a minimum of 2,000 balls bowled. That's an average of 17.33. So for context, Jasper Bumrah is 19.48. Nathan Lyon, his form hasn't been great over the last probably 8 to 12 months. We look back to that Border-Gavaskar series. He took 9 wickets at 37 against India and didn't feature a lot of times for the Australians. Question for you, Max, is as we move towards the Ashes, is there a genuine decision around leaving Lyon out across any or all of those tests and playing that fourth player, the fourth quick, in Scott Boland? Or obviously it's going to be different conditions, but we saw what he did on the Aussie wickets last summer and he didn't have a lot of success. Will there be a debate around Scotty Boland as the fourth quick and leaving Lyon out, or does he have a mortgage on that spot, Nathan Lyon?
I feel like the short answer is no. We will want a spinner in most games. But the longer and more complex answer here is that the selectors showed a bit of backbone here, which I really liked. Where they've been preaching their methods to us for a while now through the media, saying, we're going to pick the best batters and then the order doesn't matter, which I don't think has come true. But what they've done really successfully in the last international tours...
horses for courses.
Horses for courses. And I think that it's the way that Test cricket's going, and I think that it really has, for me, opened up the door that it's a possibility that Lyon could sit out one of these games during the Ashes. Now, I'm not suggesting that the spin options in Travis Head and Bo Webster are enough for Test cricket in the country, because we've seen Lyon be just about one of the best spin bowlers in Australian conditions that there ever has been. And few spinners come over here in Australia and truly dominate, but his ability to, particularly in the fourth innings of late, to take wickets has been pretty good, and he gives the boys a break, which is what we're here for. But I think what's probably most interesting will be what happens the next time we have a pink ball test. Yeah. So during the Ashes, the pink ball game, traditionally the last couple of years, it's always been in South Australia. So we moved to the Gabba this time, and the Gabba pitch the last few seasons has been absolutely diabolical. Like, we saw that game against South Africa about 3 summers ago that was almost basically called off. That was how dangerous the conditions were. It finished inside 2 days. And we could be entering a scenario where at the Gabba test, under lights against England, that Boland's called up, because if the deck's got a bit of juice in it, if it's going to be nipping around, like, pretty handy to call on a guy who is averaging 17 with the ball. It reminds me so much of the career that Michael Hussey had with the bat, just that guy who came in at an advanced age and just showed that he was so Test cricket ready. So I've been loving it. So I think long-term Lyon probably holds a spot, but yeah, absolutely, it's a debate.
It has to be, like the way he's going, and then you struggle to drop any of the frontline quicks at the moment. In fact, you couldn't, but said the numbers he's put up and that stat around, the best since 1915, essentially, statistically speaking, you get to a point where it's very, very hard to ignore, coinciding with, the form of Nathan Lyon in the last 8 to 12 months. So, it put you on the spot here, mate, but let's say they were to go with 4 quicks and we get to the Aussie summer, and we will get to the top order shortly, but is there someone who stands out who could maybe come into the middle order as a batsman, we push everyone up, that can act as a more competent part-time spinner? Or if we were to go without Nathan Lyon, would it be simply a case of like Travis Head taking up a few extra overs, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think there is. I think it's Heady, and I think it's Bo. Bo Webster's, again, another guy who's come out of this series with his reputation seriously enhanced. Like, the big slug has been awesome. Another guy made for Test cricket. Slug's career so far, where he's garnered fame in the last few Shield seasons, has been his ability to not only score a lot of runs in the middle and late order, it's been his seam bowling, but this guy, we got a bit in common. We're both 2 metres tall, and we were both made our start in career bowling off spin. So he's an above average spinner, Bo. He's got enough of a game to tie down an end.
Is he a better spinner, part-time spinner than Travis Head?
I think he's a different spinner than Travis Head. Like, where Travis Head makes hay is he gets a lot of spin. He gets a lot of turn, Travis. And when conditions suit, it's genuinely dangerous having a guy who can spin the ball that much because he can beat both edges. Bo's probably a lot more down the line, nudes, accurate, just more holding down an end.
Tie down an end,
Yeah, versus Lyon, who's got arguably the best stock ball of any off spinner that's ever played the game. So they're different kind of spinners, and even in that sense, I think Hetty and Bo can complement each other a little bit. So I think if we needed someone to come in and do a job to hold up an end to give the boys a break, then Bo could do it. But look, if you got four seamers, it's not like we need to give the big boys a break because there's always going to be someone who can come on.
And that's the thing, right? That's what works. Poor old Scotty Boland, Mitch Marsh, who sort of tied an end up there for a long time, is sort of the fourth seamer. He's sort of out of the frame at the moment, but they could go the four quicks, and then Bo Webster emerges and he becomes the fourth seamer. So it's like he's more than competent as our fourth seamer, let alone him being our fifth seamer. So
that's it. Plus don't forget Cameron Green.
And Cameron Green, if he's good to go as well, bowling. It's a tough. You feel sorry for Scotty Boland, don't you?
Oh, you do.
Seriously.
But, he can't help when he was born. But I think the beautiful thing about Boland is how well his style of bowling complements these other three quicks as well. I mean, they're all so different.
Yeah.
I mean, you got obviously the left arm option in Starc, just incredible speed, can swing the new ball, amazing accuracy at the death as well to bowl Yorkers. Hazelwood's, he's a little bit taller than Boland as well. He can hitch the pit hard. He bowls faster. Boland, relentless accuracy. Cummins can really do everything, right? We've never seen probably a guy as versatile as what Pat Cummins can do and just sums up conditions so well. So they work together as a quartet. So it's certainly a possibility, and I'm excited knowing that I'm going to be at that Gabba game as well as to what could happen.
Going to be an absolute corker. Mate, on the less positive front, we've spoken about this, it feels like every Cricket's Playbook episode for about the last 3 months, probably longer than that, to be honest, since the dawn of Cricket's Playbook time. Sammy Constas and Usman Khawaja, they combined in the series for 167 runs. Constas, just 50 runs, an average of 8.33. There was a tweet, a really interesting one from Rick Finlay. He said, tentative and without belief, I'm afraid that debut 60 was the worst thing that could have happened to Sam. So whilst the runs from our openers were very concerning, or the lack thereof, I should say, it is worth noting that, in the couple of half starts that Constas got, and he looked all right at times, I'm being very glass half full on this, Travis Head was the only player in the entire series to average over 32 runs. Carey and Green, they were the only other two over 25 runs. So every batsman in the series struggled. But look, it's been an ongoing theme for the Australians. Nick Savage on Twitter. The Aussie top three averages in the last 4 years. In 2022, the top three averaged 46. In 2023, they averaged 40. 2024, they averaged 28. And in 2025, they averaged 25. And obviously, it's been pretty ordinary. My question remains, what's your general thoughts, without sort of going over what we've already spoken about? There was nothing answered in this third test around the Aussie openers and those available spots leading into the Ashes series at the back end of the year against England. We went through the contenders that will be putting pressure on for those spots. What I will say is we're set up for one of the most exciting starts to a Sheffield Shield season as I can remember, because leading into an Ashes series where you've got two opening spots basically wide open, it's a shootout.
It is a shootout. And it could be one of the first times that we're ever entering an Ashes series and the entire top three could be different than the last time Australia played a test match. Now, Cameron Green probably did enough in this match to lock himself definitely into the Australian side.
He did enough.
But the question will remain as to whether or not he is a three.
Yeah.
Given a few of the ways that he was exposed throughout the series. I look at those stats, and they're awesome stats, by the way, just looking at that decline. You think about those 2025 games, though, and it was an absolute dog of an SCG pitch, a game that was over quick smart. Then into the World Test Championship, we had a couple of goes in Sri Lanka in conditions there where Travis Head was opening the batting. That's not very easy. And you got to keep in mind that 25 average as well for the top three. That includes Usman Khawaja's 230 that he scored at Gaul in one of those games. So it's probably realistically closer to 10 when you take that out of. And then this West Indies series. Look, I felt a little bit sorry for Constas in this third test. It reminded me a lot of Nathan McSweeney's summer in the Border Gavaskar Trophy, in that we were asking McSweeney at that time to come in and prove that you're an opener, mate, of test quality. And the other guy standing at the other end bowling is Jasprit Bumrah, arguably like the best to ever do it. And then in this game, it was like, all right, he hasn't had the best of starts, Constas. Let's see what he can do in game 3. Oh, by the way, it's a pink ball. It's a pink Dukes, which no one's ever faced or seen, and it's under lights at Sabina Park. Like, that's hard, man. Like, that's really hard. And of course, great challenges provide great opportunities for guys to come out and show what they're made of, but that's really, really hard conditions to come out. And just as so foreign as well to what he's going to come and see in that potentially that first Ashes game in Perth. But as we said last week, 3 weeks ago, what was Constas going to do in the Ashes? 2 weeks ago, is Constas going to be there in the Ashes? And this week, it is genuinely which opener in Australia is going to put their hand up. I'd like to think that Constas still has shown a little bit of problem solving. I mean, he was changing his guard basically every single game where he was batting. But, yeah, it's wide open.
Is Usman locked for the Ashes, do we think?
I think he has to be. But I think Usman also has to come back and play Shield. Like, we've seen this guy at his age talk about his training loads and needing to ensure that he's at his best in order to play for the Australian Test cricket team. I just don't know if we can still sit here and guarantee that he is going to be there. So I would love to see him come back to the Shield. And I would love to see him as well open the batting for Queensland and not just slot into that number 4 slot as he has done for the last little bit. So
and that's the thing. Usman, he's been outside of that big double ton. He's been relatively void as run, and he's going through a lean spell. But I do think he's done enough that with our other opening, Sam Constas, that spot is wide open. Coming onto the Aussie decks, which more often than not should be relatively flat, it'd take something pretty good to have to drop him from the side, I think. So we'll see how it plays out. The interesting one will be is if we get to the start of the Shield season, Uzi doesn't get any runs. Let's say Constas does start the season where we go, all right, well, Sammy Constas is there, and then maybe have a Marcus Harris or a Matty Renshaw getting runs, and that's where the questions will begin. For now, though, I think Usman will be okay. So be very fascinating leading into it, and Chris's Playbook podcast will be all over that start of the Shield season, won't we, Maxie?
Can't wait, mate. It's when I shine.
Yes. England versus India. England going 2-1 up with a fiery 22-run win over India at Lords. Ben Stokes named man of the match, 77 runs for him across the 2 innings and 5 wickets. Joe Root notched another Test century, as did KL Rahul. Jasprit Bumrah, 7 wickets, including a fifer. My question, though, Maxie, Bazball, one of the great topics in world cricket, and credit to Brendan McCullum and the Poms. They've given us plenty to talk about in recent years around Bazball because it is a great topic. The second Test, they were beaten. They had a run rate, I should say, of 4.5 runs per over in the first innings. The third Test, 3.4 in the first innings and 3 in the second innings, a significant drop-off. Have they been scared off a little bit by that last Test and Bazball with that drop in run rate? Was it just deck-related, do we think, or they did look to be taking a more conservative approach to their batting this Test? What are your thoughts?
It's very cagey, wasn't it, out there? There was so many comments over the stop mic from the Indians asking where Bazball had gone. It's hard to know really what was behind an obvious change of tactic. I mean, if you look back to that second Test, one of the criticisms of the English in that game was that they could have easily played for a draw in that second innings. Like, they were chasing 600 and, all the bravado in the world, these guys coming out and saying 600 doesn't scare us. And it's true, but if they had actually just played normal cricket, they could have easily walked away with the draw in that game, albeit they'd probably say that's not what they're here to do. I think in this game there's maybe an argument that they were frightened by the prospect of trying to attack Jasprit Bumrah and knowing that he's only going to play in 3 of the 5 games. So there's 2 games remaining and he'll sit out one of them, pre the comments from the Indian team about his workload in the series. Maybe they just thought this was the one they could take the foot off the gas because he was out there, maybe look for the draw. Maybe it was the conditions as well, but they were lucky to eke out that victory in the end, 22 runs. It was a fantastic game of cricket, but yeah, where did Bazball go?
Can't wait to see if it comes out in the 4th Test. Geez, it'll be interesting to see what they do with Bumrah now that they're down 2-1. Like, if they're up 2-1, they go, all right, rest him 4th and we'll have him ready to go for the 5th. It's now a must-win Test for them, or at the very least a must-draw. But he nearly has to play this Test with so much on the line, and in which case, if they win it and go 2-2 or they draw and it's 2-1, as if he's not playing the fifth test. What do you think happens?
Yeah, it's hard to predict, and I think that the Indian side as a whole will take a lot of confidence from the second test in their bowlers taking 20 wickets without him, which hasn't always been the case in the last couple of years. So we just don't know, right? Like
he'll play. He has to play.
You'd think so, but we've seen how funky some of the Australian squads have been the last couple of years with workload management and that kind of thing. But they are a genuine chance to steal a series here away from home, which these days is rare. I mean, the Aussies have done it twice this year already in Sri Lanka and West Indies, but against one of the big boys, against India or England or Australia, stepping into foreign territory and taking a series win is absolutely rare. So I hope he plays, and it's been a cracker of a series, hasn't it? Yeah. I think the other guy who is worth talking about is just Jofra Archer.
Yeah.
4 years away from Test cricket, looked like he didn't miss a beat and bowled one of the fastest spells that we've seen in Test cricket history over there. He's the type of guy now that, again, with his workload, will he back up and play another Test? Probably not, but he does give me chills down my spine thinking about what he might do if he's fit for that first Test in Perth on a bouncy Optus pitch with a brittle Australian top order. It was definitely a warning shot ahead of the Ashes seeing him charge.
Terrifying, but bloody exciting for the series. Jofra's firing coming into the Ashes. Hey, mate, the spirit of cricket, synonymous with the English cricketers, has come into question again in this Test via Zach Crawley. A bit of gamesmanship at the end of the day's play. Later on in the Test, he was trying to avoid a final over. He was hitting a hand. He called for the physio. In the meantime, the replays came. Looked like it came out of the middle of the bat. Shubman Gill was losing his nut about it. Not happy naturally. Avoided the final over. It was just the scenes and the fire in the game. It was Test cricket. It was fantastic. Spirit of cricket. Was it against it? Fair or unfair?
Well, you might call it spirit of cricket. I call it absolute shithousery. And I love it, right? Like, I hate it when it's against us because it's just so lame. Like, it's like when you watch a game of soccer or football and people are taking a dive and you just sort of go like, that's not how we're meant to play this game. But, I mean, fair crack. He went out there and did his job. His job at that point in the game, Zach Crawley, was to make sure that the England top order was not facing balls.
Yeah.
You know, that they could navigate that one over from Jasprit Bumrah, get off the park, probably get on the massage table, have a pint, go to bed, sleep, and get ready for the next day of cricket. And he did that. It was an absolute masterclass from him. Well, you're also forgetting, apart from that huge waste of time with the physio, pretending to get a hit in the hand and, you know, needing all kinds of time out of the game, was also he just stepped away. One time when Bumrah was running in, you know, he just feigned that there was movement behind the side screen and just completely stepped away, which is, it's really up there with like, got to tie my shoes as well. That's a Stuart Broad classic, one of those. So I hate it, but I love it. It is a part of the game. And look, fair crack, if you can get away with it in international cricket, it's boring, but it's pretty funny when it's not happening to your team.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hate it. I wish it didn't exist. But to say it's just England doing it and they shouldn't do it, it's just unfair and it's hypocritical because every Test nation does it. And I said, I wish it wasn't a part of cricket, but everyone does it.
Yeah.
So I don't like the pulling out when they're mid-run up. I'm like, you're in action, the ball's about to be bowled, face up and do it. They're calling for the physio, all that. Again, don't like it, but I get it. Let them bowl their ball. Yeah,
that's it. And I guess if you were asking an English person if it was within the spirit of cricket, I mean, they're the guys who invented it. They're the guys who police the spirit of cricket. So, play on.
And if you want to pick them apart, they'd have countless examples of every other nation doing it. So let's just be a little wary of what we call out. Maxi, part 2 of the show, the World Team of the Week. The best performances from around world cricket, both Australians and elsewhere. A little shout out before we get to you doing the Aussies and the top 5 performers of the week. But shout out to Irishman Curtis Campher. He became the first player in professional cricket to take 5 wickets in 5 balls. A double hat-trick. Just for good measure, it was in a T20. He hit 44 off 24 for the mighty Munster Reds who knocked off the Northwest Warriors in Dublin. One of the biggest games of the season over there. So shout out to Curtis for that incredible performance. But mate, the Aussies in action, bit of an Italian flavour to it.
Absolutely. And there was obviously the test match over in West Indies where a couple of headliners came out of, most notably Mitchell Starc 6 for 9 and Scott Boland's 3 for 2, which included a hat-trick. But just wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to the Italian team who have qualified for the T20 World Cup by the European qualifiers. Now, much has been made of this Italian side in the last couple of years after they recruited Joe Burns, former Australian Test opener and Queenslander, to be their skipper. But they've actually got a whole bunch of Aussies running around in their team, including the Big Bash's own Big Bad Ben Menenti, one of my favourite players, off-spinner for the Sydney Sixers, previously played with the Adelaide Strikers and has been over there skippering South Australia and the Shield as well. But so you've got Ben Menenti, you've got his brother Harry Menenti, who's a really good rising cricketer, medium pace bowling all-rounder. He actually led that little qualifying tournament for wickets taken. He took 5 for 31 against Scotland as well and was Italy's leading run scorer with the bat. He had the 6th most in that qualifying tournament. So the Menenti brothers, there's also the Mosca brothers who are from the Sydney Cricket Club. AJ Mosca's been down there, I think, playing in Tassie grade cricket, trying to get his chance down there on the professional circuit. But some really good Aussie blokes from the inner west of Sydney out there doing it for their Italian heritage. They've qualified for the World Cup, which is absolutely awesome. So Forza Italia, this is almost, a little bit of forgiveness for that 06 Soccer World Cup. We had the Italians breaking Aussie hearts that time. This time the Aussies are propping up the Italians in a different World Cup. So well played to the Italians. It'll be good to see them out there.
Wouldn't they just be having time? They played against the Netherlands, Scotland and Guernsey, playing in The Hague in the Netherlands. Those boys would be having the time of their life.
Oh, deluxe. Yeah, it'd be amazing stuff. And look, Scotland have played in a lot of World Cups, right? Like they're a fully fledged, they're a fully fledged international team. The Netherlands were the best in this little qualifying tournament. They've also got a handful of Aussies running out for them, including Scott Edwards, who's down there playing in Victoria Premier Grade cricket and signed for the Renegades a couple of years ago. But yeah, the Italians, they're a really good mix of Aussies. There's a few Englishmen running around there with heritage from Italy as well. It's really nice to see that little powerhouse there brewing on the scene. But yeah, just very good to see a couple of Aussies doing well for the Italians.
I love going through the Netherlands lineup. Zach Lyon, Cachet, Bas de Leed, Noah Cruz, Relief Vandermeer, Paul Vandermeek, and then there's just batting number 3, captain and wicketkeeper Scott Edwards.
Yeah, on your Scotty. Aussie Scott.
Maxie, what about around the world? Who else stood out?
Yeah, some really good performances from around the globe. Kusal Mendes scored 124 for Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh. He's one of the form batters in the world at the moment. Alzari Joseph in that third test as well, 5 for 27. He really showed up in that game after Shamar Joseph and Jaden Seals had taken the headlines for most of the first couple of tests. Jasper Bumrah wouldn't be a World Team of the Week without a mention for him. 5 for 74 in that third test against India. Washington Sundar as well, 4 for 22 for the off-spinner, but they were actually the best figures by an Indian spinner in England for some time. Shamar Joseph in that second test combined 8 for 67, which was really good. Joe Root scored a ton, 104. KL Rahul has now scored more test centuries in England as an opener than any other batter in like the last 10 years or something like that. Like he's really coming of age as a test player and doing really well. And Ravi Jadeja, those heartbroken scenes at the end of that third test as he failed to get his team across the line, he's had an immaculate series so far. 61 not out in that fourth innings and also 72 in the first. He's been one of the best for the Indians. He's been doing it more with the bat than the ball this game, but he's playing really well for them. So they are the notable performances from around the world this week.
Nicely done, mate. Good recap. And that might just about do us for the Cricketers Playbook podcast this week. So you've been big. Obviously no rando this week. We'll get him back for the next episode, I'm sure. But thank you, mate. You've stepped up.
Appreciate it, man. I'm missing him. I'm missing the stats.
Yeah.
I'm missing the random sayings which pop up as well from now and then. But I'm sure he will be back soon. And yeah, can't wait to bring you next week's action.
Yeah, I had a lot more prep to do this week statistically. Gave old ESPN Cricket Info an absolute beat down this week. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next week.